Pike County Fiscal Court called to order. Madam Clerk, have a roll call. The members, please.
Judge Rutherford.
Present.
Magistrate Anderson.
Here.
Magistrate Johnson.
Here.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes, will be here. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson.
Here.
Magistrate Harris.
Here.
We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Magistrate Dotson. You have in your packet a copy of the minutes of November 8th. Jeannie has reviewed those. I have reviewed them, found them to be correct. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Have a motion, have a second by Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson.
Here.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. East Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program. We appreciate the fact that they held a educational and job fair recently at the Expo Center for our miners that had been laid off. We are encouraged a little bit. We had about 150 plus miners called back in the county from one of the corporations who had laid them off about several months ago. This corporation had got orders. I presume they're on the world market, export coal. And they've called back. They have the contract signed, and they had opened them back up, two locations, one in the Johns Creek area, and one in Peter Creek. So that was the good news, and we had others that we've heard rumors that other cutoffs are coming from other companies. But I think in the meantime, that we certainly need to have training programs and those type programs that this agency certainly has the dedication and responsibility, but most of all, and we have a fellow back before us today, has been here before. Matter of fact, he is from Pikeville. His dad was a fireman here at the fire department in Pikeville. His grandfather was a minister, and certainly Reverend Cornett was known to all of us in the Pikeville and Pike County area. He worked for a number of years at what was Pikeville College, and then he went to the Pikeville, the old Pikeville Methodist Hospital, the head of their nutrition program and their program for their patients. And we certainly, this family had contributed a lot. Michael, of course, has been in the public relations business and the communications business. He, for a period of time, was with the Center for Rural Development at Somerset. And then he left there, and he's now with Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program. So, Mike, we're glad that you're back. If you'll come around to the podium, you have signed in to give us an update on the job training, classroom training, basic academic skills and certification licensing, and skilled apprenticeships and other services that your agency has worked with Congressman Rogers and to take advantage of federal regulations and new programs that's coming out to assist those who have been laid off in the mining industry here in eastern Kentucky. Mr. Cornett.
Judge, thank you. That was a kind welcome, far better than I deserve, but I do thank you very much for that. And thank all the members of the court and all the staff and all the people here from the judge's office who are representing the court here today for giving me the opportunity to come in and speak to you, because I think what I'm going to say is a pretty exciting bit of news. As Judge Rutherford just said, you know, coal's going to be the lifeblood of this region for many, many years to come, but we have a reality to deal with when there are bumps in the road. What are we going to do with the people who need jobs, who need retraining, who need the services that my organization, Eastern Kentucky SEP, can offer? Well, what we're getting ready to deal with today really boils back down very simply to our mission at Eastern Kentucky SEP, and that is jobs for people, people for jobs. It applies most appropriately to the coal industry in this area, so that's what we're getting ready to do. And what I'm here today to ask all of you to do, and everyone who's listening, we're not asking for money, obviously, so there's nothing complicated and sticky about it. We just need support and really brokering of contacts in the business community of Pike County, even if it's just as simple as picking up the phone and making a call from one of you on our behalf to help us in this program that I'm getting ready to elaborate on that you can see on the screen there. We're soon going to be launching this program that we're calling Hiring Our Miners Every Day. It is an acronym, as it often is in government world, but it stands for HOME. And we called it that because we want people in our region who were affected by the downturn in the coal industry, who have lost their jobs this year, to be able to train for gainful new employment and stay home. We don't want to have to see them be lost to other states or even other regions of Kentucky, as so often happens. We want them to be able to have a standard of living that they want, and be able to train for new jobs that can carry them forward and support their families and support themselves. So we're launching the Hiring Our Miners Every Day program very soon, and we at XSEP, we always provide expert career advising and job search assistance to people no matter what the sector is, but coal mining is obviously included in that here. This is going to allow us, XSEP, our job site network, and key state and community action program partners to be able to place eligible out-of-work coal miners into new skilled jobs or into training opportunities that will lead to skilled jobs for them. And plus, and it's certainly not a last but not least thing, the program will also provide the same benefits for spouses of these laid-off coal miners if they're already out of work and want to return to the workforce. So that's kind of a twofold benefit for that. And just in a nutshell, the HOME program is a result of our applying for a national emergency grant from the U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration. And this grant funding will give eligible miners and their spouses access to a lot of different services, as the judge mentioned earlier, on-the-job training. And just to explain what that is a little bit, a person is hired as a full employee from day one, so they're drawing a paycheck just like anyone else would. But thanks to our funding and our grant, we're going to kick in and pay the majority of the training wages for those employees while they train. So they're earning while they're learning, and the employer is being able to have those people on their staff at very minimal cost to the business. So it's really a win-win for the coal miners, and it's a win for the businesses, certainly. And not only are we offering that situation, but we're also offering classroom-based training for basic skills should the miners need to refresh on some things, and also certifications and licensing training for other skilled careers. And additionally, beyond that, skilled apprenticeships we're working to establish for things like electrical, plumbing, HVAC, other things that are not just your routine jobs, but things that they can use the skills that they have, the dependability, the work ethic, the electrical skills, use those particular skills in new sectors. So we're looking forward to that. But going back quickly to the reason that I'm here today really is not just to tell you about this, but ask for your support to help us broker contacts. To be able to do these on-the-job training arrangements, we need to be able to rely on employers who will stand up and say, I'll hire these miners, and all the rest of you employers, you should do it too. So we're really trying to build a pretty good army of employers throughout the region who will stand for this movement, stand for the coal industry, and agree to bridge the gap, so to speak, and to help these miners get into some training opportunities that will lead to new careers. And just as a call to action, if you're aware of such opportunities and aware of these kind of employers, I'm going to give you a phone number, and I encourage you to reach out to us and let us know of these employers. That number's on the sheet that's in all of the fiscal court's information packets, but just for the public, that number is 606-435 8486. 435-8486. Should you know of employers who you feel would be willing to do on-the-job training for our coal industry, for our coal miners, please give us a call and let us know. Call us 5 minutes from now. As soon as I shut up, you can call. It doesn't matter. We are moving forward with this grant immediately at this point forward. So we need to build that army of employers as soon as we can, and we need your help in order to do that and do it effectively. So I'd be happy to answer any questions among the court or anyone here very quickly, but we also have the information you see on the screen here printed off. It's over at the corner of the desk over there with the agendas and such, if anyone wants to go pick one of those up.
Mr. Cornett?
Yes.
This is key to our coal miners. Of course, we have more laid off in Pike County than anywhere else in eastern Kentucky. And, of course, we're very supportive of this type of program. And and I commend you all where you put money in for while they was training, because that's always a problem. And you all have realized that. But this is not only for the coal miners, it's keyed on coal miners. Is it for anybody that needs training that's that here in eastern Kentucky?
This specific initiative is key to only coal miners. I can say that.
What other program do you have that's available to the others in the area?
Absolutely, that's a good question, Judge. We serve people who are in need of jobs every single day, regardless of sector. Through our job site network, we have what we call job clubs of eastern Kentucky, where people can go in and get the job search assistance that they need immediately, network with employers, get themselves in a position to get a new job. We have our Kentucky Teleworks initiative that is something that's proving to be very effective because it allows people to have higher wage, full benefits, telework jobs that they can work from their homes. That's been key in some of the situations in the coal mining situation, especially because if that new skilled job isn't immediately available and someone needs to go to work, if they have a computer and broadband access at home, those jobs can pay upwards of $10 or $11 an hour in some cases with full benefits, and they can work it from the luxury of their home. So that's another initiative that we can offer. But those services are offered to anyone, regardless of sector, regardless of industry, 7 days a week. I mean, we're there to respond to those needs immediately.
You mentioned about the cycle that we go through about migration. Back in the 70s, when the coal boom was here, the population of this county was about 89,000. Right. So now it's 65,024.
Right.
So hopefully this program will keep people from out migrating and hopefully keep our population level about what it is for the present time.
We certainly hope so.
Any questions from any of the magistrates? Yeah, I'm sure that you can expect this body to be supportive of you. Our Social Services Department and Carl Napier is here today, and the coalition that we have in the county that meets every month, Carl, it would be a good idea to get them involved with the coalition. The coalition that we put together brings all of the federal, state, local, nonprofits together every month, and to talk about the people that what's available to people that needs assistance in Pike County.
That'd be
to
great.
Make sure that nobody falls through the crack, and I feel the government has that responsibility, and Carl does a great job in coordinating that with the coalition that she has in place. We thank you for coming today and giving us an update on this program, and I congratulated the congressman recently in a telephone conversation with him for taking quick action to get a training program for our coal miners.
Very good. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court.
Next, I have the privilege of presiding, honoring two ladies that have been ambassadors to Pike County for many years. We're all ambassadors, all of us, any citizen of the county that outside the county or does anything in the county or out. We're all ambassadors. But folks, there are special people at times that that arrives on the scene and is here a number of years, that makes contributions that has made life so much better for the citizens of the county. And it goes back to a number of years. Now, I've been on the Pike County Health Board for 20 years. And the Pike County Board of Health, back in the 70s, Dr. Edward I. Ruskin was the health officer or doctor, and his retirement came up. And I was on the committee appointed by the health board to try to recruit a doctor. And we had a meeting, and after that meeting, Dr. Hamley, the mayor of Pikeville, and a surgeon here in Pikeville, visited me in my office. And he said, "Judge, you got a problem I think you'd be of assistance with." He said, "My counterpart, the only two of us are surgeons. He has decided that he's not going to piece anybody back together that has a motorcycle accident. Plus," he said, "anybody that has a car wreck where alcohol's involved, to not call him out at night. He'll do it if he's there in the daytime at the hospital. He will be available to do surgery." And he said, "We got to have help. We got to attract a surgeon, somebody to assist and bring him to Pikeville." And he said, I want to help the health boards try to find somebody, and I feel, as the health board does, it ought to be a person with a degree, doctor, head of the health department. So the search was begun, and we ended up with two names, which was Dr. Murray L. Wiss, and who was the director of a program at Hyden, Kentucky, Frontier Nursing, and her deputy at that time, number 2 person in charge, Dr. Murray Pauline Fox. So the health department, of course, took action, interviewed these ladies, negotiated with them. Dr. Hamley continued to keep in touch with us, said that he had talked to Dr. Hughes about Dr. Hughes' family about the location near the hospital for an office for Dr. Wiss. So, folks, we ended up bringing somebody in ahead of the health department, and that was Dr. Murray Pauline Fox. Dr. Fox did more in the Commonwealth of Kentucky than any other doctor in this field. No doubt about that. She was a visionary. She tried new things at the health department. Many of them was taken throughout this Commonwealth and all the other health departments in Kentucky. She became a sought-after speaker. She had plenty of experience because when we started the solid waste program in Pike County, it was Dr. Fox who said she would handle the educational part of going to the schools. And folks, I've sat in those schoolrooms many times when she said, "Go home and tell your parents to quit throwing their garbage out the back, off the back porch or in the creeks. That it is a health hazard, and it is a hazard that we need to clean up this county." And she traveled throughout this county to all of the schools, elementary schools, high schools. And she was the one who helped us start and to have success in a solid waste program in this county. But Dr. Fox was more than that. Back when I had the court system for 8 years and tried cases, we only had marijuana. We had some heroin that came into the county. But at that time, it was Dr. Fox who realized that the future wasn't bright because of what was going on by the users of drugs. And she began a crusade as the local health officer and doctor throughout not only this county, but she became in state meetings, and I have been in meetings in Lexington where she has been on panels and has been the person who made the address to people in regard to the drug situation in this Commonwealth. So Dr. Mary Pauline Fox, I know that when they wanted to make the local health department just a branch, she convinced me, and I battled Frankfurt, and she and I won that battle. Pike County retained its health department, did not become a branch of a health department somewhere else in the region, because we felt that health care closest to the people was the best kind of health care. So she was an advocate. But beyond that, we needed a new facility. We had a facility directly behind the courthouse. It was a building that was not big enough, not enough square footage for the health department to perform their duties. They did a great job with the area that they had. They organized well. But they needed a new building. And as soon as Dr. Fox went to work as the Pike County health officer and doctor, then a plan was put together for the new health department in this area. So it is, Dr. Fox has got too many awards probably for me to read. I think there are 2 pages full, and she deserved every one of them. People in this position sometimes do not have a caring heart, and they don't understand that people who have needs, health needs, and many other needs. Dr. Fox was one who, when she found somebody like that, would reach out to all agencies to try to help somebody, not only for their health benefits, to make them to have a better quality of life. So she had won an award from Clara Barton Award, the Dome Award, the American Red Cross, and Kentucky Nursing Association, and Kentucky Women's Club, and the local women's club, and it's unbelievable. She's a doctor another way from the university, from Pikeville College in '85, and she was member number 1 of a group that invited to China in 1986 and spoke of public health in the United States of America. Alan E. Austin Achievement Award. So it goes on and on and on. Union College, Alumni Hall of Fame, where she graduated. As a matter of fact, she went to Union. That's where my mother went to college, was Union College. But Dr. Fox has certainly has the admiration of every member of this court and every citizen of this county. Amateur photographer. If you notice the picture, you wonder, well, why you got these flyers up here? Look, this lady has ability beyond, and she cared about the environment so much and about the cleaning up this area. And she talked about a clean Pike County and what it would do for tourism in future. And now, aren't we glad that since we have this Hatfield and McCoy tour, and we're moving towards and looking at tourism as economic development, that the leadership that Dr. Fox brought in the way of cleaning up Pike County and keeping it clean. She had been a commencement speaker throughout this Commonwealth at universities and colleges, and Dr. Fox, you've done so much for so many, And we wanted to bring you today, and to you, and also to bring Dr. Wiss here to honor her too. But before we get to Dr. Wiss, I would like any member of the court, if they have anything to say it, or Judge Hayes, and then we will want to make the presentation to you. Then I want to make one to Dr. Wiss. So, Judge Hayes, you want to go first to read the proclamation?
This is a resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizing Dr. Mary Pauline Fox for her contributions to Pike County. Whereas Dr. Mary P. Fox was born in the town of Artemis in Knott County, Kentucky. She earned her Bachelor of Arts degree at Union College in 1951 and her medical degree from the University of Louisville in 1956. And whereas she was heavily involved in the building of the Pike County Health Department, where she lobbied to keep health departments localized and worked to secure funding for the department's current facility, even postponing her retirement until the project was complete. The building is now named in her honor. And whereas Dr. Fox established a general practice in Pineville, Kentucky, and served as health officer for the Leslie, Perry, and Knott County Health Departments from 1956 through 1959. She then served as regional director of the 20-county area for the Kentucky Department of Public Health from 1959 through 1966, before becoming assistant medical director for Frontier Nursing Service in Hyden, Kentucky. From 1966 through 1969, she served in that position with Frontier Nursing Service. She eventually became the health officer for the Pike County Health Department in 1970, a position she held until her retirement. And whereas during her time as Pike County Public Health Officer, she established Kentucky's second tuberculosis clinic, introduced hypertension screenings and follow-ups, established rheumatic fever clinics, established heart and neurology clinics, and other diagnostic and treatment services never before available locally. And whereas she received a plethora of honors and awards and served on a multitude of boards and community organizations, and it should be noted that she was the first woman in the ROTC in the United States. And whereas she enjoys photography, and her photographs have been reprinted on several occasions, including the 1990 Pikeville National Bank calendar. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fiscal Court of Pike County, Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors Dr. Mary Pauline Fox for her work both as a doctor and as a citizen, and for being an ambassador of Pike County. Witness this our hands, this the 20th day of November in the year of our Lord, 2012, and executed by the county judge, county attorney, and the magistrate of all 6 magisterial districts.
Dr. Fox, if you'll come around in front of the podium, the magistrates, myself, and Judge Hayes will come down there, and we'll get a photograph and make the presentation to you.
Roland, you want to go down?
He's going to do last on both of them.
Let's go, kid. Too small, big. Oh, God.
I'll make a motion we adopt the resolution.
Have a motion, have
Second.
a second, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Dr. Wiss, Murray L. Wiss, native of Chicago, Illinois. Educated at Ohio State University and joined the Sisters of Charity of the Nazarenes in Kentucky in 1945. Undergraduate work at Spalding University, Georgetown University, Washington, D.C. And after Dr. Weiss came to Pikeville, I was in office, and my mother sent a copy of the local paper to my sister, and she called my mother back and said, Opal, this Murray L. Wiss, Dr. Wiss was my den mother at Georgetown University when I was in school at Georgetown University. And I went to Dr. Wiss and I asked her if she knew Barbara Rutherford, and she said, gosh, yes, she's down the hall from where I slept every night, said that little brat. So, so it's a small world, but Dr. Wiss ended up, she took her residency at Louisville, Kentucky in surgery at St. Joseph Infirmary, and then ended up at Frontier Nursing Service at Hyden, Kentucky as a medical director, 65 to 69, and then began private practice in Pikeville, Kentucky, and contributed so much, not only to the medical community, which was in bad need of a surgeon at that time, but to the community. She has received numerous awards during her tenure as a surgeon and as a doctor, and she was a fellow with the Royal College of Surgeons in Canada and the International College of Surgeons. American Medical Association honored past president of the chapter of American College of Surgeons. The first woman was ever president. Both these ladies have had first things in their lives. And past president of the medical staff at the Pikeville Methodist Hospital, and was the first woman, again, who was the woman doctor who was the head of that facility. She had been featured in Tales from Kentucky Doctors and in the Lexington paper, and won Yellow Ribbon. I could go on and on and on. And after she came to Pikeville, she wanted to be active in the community, and guess what? First woman member of the Rotary Club, Pikeville. So Dr. Wiss has meant so much. What an ambassador that she has been to this area that she made her home, that she loved. She had a hobby of basket weaving and making, and she taught classes throughout. So, Dr. Wiss, it's certainly an honor for me and this court. And first, I want to Judge Hayes to read the resolution, please, and then we'll move forward.
Resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizing Dr. Mary Wiss for her contributions to Pike County. Whereas Dr. Mary Wiss was born September 7, 1925 in Chicago, Illinois. She moved to Columbus, Ohio at age 10, and it was there that she attended Ohio State University for 3 years. In 1945, she joined the Sisters of Charity of Nazareth and completed her undergraduate coursework at Spalding University and Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., earning a bachelor's degree in chemistry in 1947. She graduated cum laude from Georgetown University School of Medicine in 1953. And whereas she began her medical career at St. Joseph's Infirmary in Louisville, where she worked from 1953 to 1958. In 1959, she became medical director at Nazareth Hospital in India, where she stayed until 1964. Whereas in 1965, Dr. Mary Wiss began working at Frontier Nursing Service in Hyden, Kentucky, where she remained until 1969, when she opened a private practice of surgery in Pikeville, where she worked until she happily retired in 1990. and whereas she is or has been a member of the fellow American College of Surgeons, she was the 7th woman in that organization, a diplomat of American Board of Surgery, fellow Royal College of Surgeons of Canada, fellow International College of Surgeons, American Medical Association, Kentucky Medical Association, Pike County Medical Association, past president of Kentucky chapter of American College of Surgeons, first woman president of that organization, a past president and medical staff, Pikeville Methodist Hospital, and was the first woman president of that hospital. And whereas she has been featured in Tales from Kentucky Doctors in the Lexington Herald Leader, has won a yellow ribbon for her needlework, has been featured in the 1976 Kentucky Academy of General Practice Journal, and in 1961 became the first woman member of the Rotary Club of Pikeville. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fiscal Court of Pike County, Kentucky hereby recognizes and honors Dr. Mary Wiss for her work both as a doctor and as a citizen, and for being an ambassador to Pike County. Witness this hands this the 20th day of November in the year of our Lord 2012, and executed by the county judge, county attorney, and the magistrate of each of the 6 magisterial districts.
I'll make a motion we adopt the resolution.
Have a motion, a second? Have a second, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Ruth?
Yes. Dr. Wiss, if you'd come around, please. Sir, would you?
Sorry, I didn't get it to you.
Sarah George, would you come to the podium, please? Sarah is a friend of both of these ladies. She took me and Sarah and a lot of other people in this county under their wing when they showed up in this county. So, Sarah, I know that what you say is heartfelt, and these ladies deserve, they are true ambassadors of this county, and they deserve the recognition that we give them today.
And I am so honored, Judge, that you asked me to make a few comments. I commend all of you on the court for your wisdom in honoring these 2 wonderful women. The Doctors Mary, or the 2 Marys, as some folks say. You know, I moved here in 1977. They were already here. I met Dr. Fox first, and Dr. Fox has been, perhaps had a higher profile, if you will, than Dr. Wiss. She's quicker to, not that she seeks it, but she's been in the public eye more because she was a public employee. But when I think of them, I think that each one of them probably would agree that the song that we all know, Wind Beneath My Wings, would apply to each one of them in terms of the other. because they're very different. They have very different personalities, interests. Dr. Fox is a member of the First Christian Church. Dr. Wiss is a member of St. Francis Parish, a Catholic, and they have different hobbies, and yet they are both very supportive of whatever the other one is involved in. I remember when I interviewed Dr. Fox, I think it was 1978 or 79, and I didn't realize it then, but, and it was in the old health department, very cramped little office she had, but she had a little framed saying on the wall that said, "There isn't anything that's going to happen today that me and the Lord can't handle." And so I didn't know her, hadn't met her in person. Lee Mueller, of all people, sent me to interview her for a magazine he was working with in Kentucky Highlands Magazine. And I didn't know it then, but she said that this was the first interview she had given in several years because she was quite put out with, I think it was CBS, that had done an interview with her, and she felt misrepresented the people of Eastern Kentucky. So I was quite honored that she even agreed to talk to me. Well, we've gotten to know each other fairly well over the years, and no offense, John Doug, but it's Artemis. Artemis, Kentucky.
Excuse me, Sarah. It's like the fellow who met the man from Mousy and called it Mousse. I'm sorry, Dr. Fox.
When I would just like to give you all an idea, for those of you who don't know these wonderful women personally or very well, of the kind of people they are. We all know the scripture in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the love scripture. It's read a lot at weddings, but it applies to these two women. It applies to anyone because it's talking about agape love, the kind of love God has for us. And among the other things that this scripture says is that love is patient and kind. Now, Fox is patient most of the time. She's kind all of the time. They both are. Love is not rude. It does not boast. It is not proud. It holds no grudges. It is not self-seeking. Sometime soon you go back and read that scripture, and it describes these women beautifully. You know, Dr. Wiss, when I was at the editor of the newspaper here, I was young and naive and didn't have enough sense to know that I couldn't do that job. And we ran a story based on a press release one time about a malpractice suit, and she burned me. She called me up and absolutely burned me, and she was right. She was absolutely, you have never run stories about any other kind of malpractice suit. The suit, and my excuse for running that story was that it was Mayor Hambly that had been sued, and he was a public figure. Well, he's not a public figure because he's a doctor. You know, she burned me a bit good, but kindly. You know, she was very kind about it and very respectful. And I realized, as I thought about it later, that she was absolutely right, that we had singled him out unfairly. So I hope I didn't make that mistake again. I don't believe. Also, this woman is so creative. She does what my grandmother used to call handwork, what all the folks used to call handwork, whether it's embroidery or needlepoint, just absolutely beautiful things. She also, I don't think she still does this, but for years she had a greenhouse next to their home in Pauley Edition. You still have it? And she grows the most beautiful orchids, all different kinds of, I mean, they are exotic in the first place, but she gave me a stem of orchids one time, that little, small, looked like cymbidiums, and they were, I mean, it was just marvelous. You know, that one stem of orchids in a floral shop probably would have been $100. And they lasted and lasted. I've got pictures of them. I took pictures of them in a vase on my desk. Her baskets are beautiful. I'm privileged to own several of them. One of them, which is a dark purple and lavender, kind of like a jar shape with a lid, she decided it was defective, and she didn't want anybody to see it. And I said, well, I promise I'll hide it at my house. Nobody will see it. And I think of her every time I look at it. Now, when they went to China, was during the time when I was working at Printing by George, and they needed business cards. Well, you know, the State Department had to approve, the United States State Department had to approve those business cards. We had to, first of all, we had to send them to a translator in New York to translate them into the dialect of the specific regions that they were going to visit in China. And then they had to be approved by the State Department. That was the most interesting business card order that I was ever involved in. Both of these ladies are Paul Harris Fellows. Now, if you're a Rotarian, you know what that means, but if you're not, let me explain that. First of all, a $1,000 donation to the Rotary Foundation has to be made in your honor or by you for you to become a Paul Harris Fellow. And the Rotary Foundation is the organization in the entire world that has had the most impact on ridding the world of polio, working with the World Health Organization and others. But Rotary, even your medical organizations, will credit Rotary International with eradicating polio as an epidemic disease. Now, Mary Fox is the only woman, or the only person I know, who goes to do a speaking engagement about domestic violence and pulls out a fifth of liquor and a pistol and pill bottles and slams them down on the table and says, now, we can't talk about domestic violence until we look at these things. I can remember when my mother had rheumatoid arthritis, and I remember when her doctor wanted to put her on a new drug they had out called methotrexate. And I said, it sounded real dangerous to me, so I called Fox, and she explained to me right off the top of her head, you know, the side effects, whether it would help or not help, under what conditions you should or shouldn't take it. When my mother became more ill, she was never actually bedfast or anything like that, but to just as a random act of kindness type gesture, Dr. Fox let me fix a photo album of her photographs of wildflowers. Absolutely exquisite work to take to my mother. Dr. Fox is constantly surprising me by leaving little things on my desk at work. She knows I'm a chocoholic, and I have everything from frameable prints to coffee mugs, just all sorts of little knickknacks with cute little sayings about chocolate on them. I also have a beautiful ceramic gingerbread house that plays the theme from the Nutcracker that my granddaughter absolutely adores, and it will be hers someday, that Dr. Fox gave us. She knew that Taylor was taking ballet lessons, and she brought that one Christmas season for us to enjoy. I would say when my mother died in 1998, I told Mary Fox she now had to step in. She's my mother, so that means that Mary Wiss is my aunt. And in terms of songs that describe these women's importance, not just in my life, but in the lives of so many people, if you can recall the Celtic woman's version of You Raise Me Up. You raise me up to be more than I could be. And I thank you for being in my life. They've enhanced my life and the lives of so many people in Pike County. And I commend the court members for honoring these ladies today. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much. And of course, these two ladies are truly ambassadors of Pike County. Pike County loves them. They made this their home, and they've contributed so much to making our quality of life so much better. Next, we have on the agenda appointments to the Tourism Board. It'd be my recommendation that Judy Conway Patton be reappointed to her position, and Jeannie had talked to her, and she has been a great leader in the time of a transition period, as we all know. We also, under the bylaws of the Restaurant Association, they submit 3 names, and I picked the name to recommend to you, and I recommend Adam Hatton. And Roland, I think you told me that you knew Mr. Hatton personally.
I'm not close friends or don't know him personally. He is the manager at the new restaurant bank and seems to be very personable and a good fellow and runs a good restaurant. But I'm not personally acquainted with him closely, but seemed to be very interested in the community.
Mr. Walls, who was on the list, has said he had served before on 3 different times, and that he'd rather not serve this time. And the other one that they submitted, I didn't know them either. So that's the 2 names that I have proposed to you. If there's not any question, I need a motion.
Judge, I'd like to just have a little discussion if we could. I really don't understand the Restaurant Association. Is this part of the Tourism Board that makes up the Tourism Board, or where does this come in at, Roland?
County Attorney.
I don't have the bylaws right in front of me, but basically the Tourism Board is composed of members, and one of the members is a representative of the Restaurant Association, and by the bylaws they submit 3 names, and the judge recommends one of the 3.
Well, Judge, you know, we have been real active in tourism in the Petey Creek, Pond Creek, Blackberry area for the last 6-8 months, and I feel like if we could have somebody represent us from that area on the board, it would be helpful for the tourism in them areas. And I've got one young man that about every weekend he's out scouting cemeteries and looking at different things and trying to put together he's even put together a little program of his own to the businesses over there representing the tour sites, and his name is Chris Coleman, which you're aware of, and he's last week he brought us in some pictures that he had taken. He had found a grave which was Fred Wolfert's, which was one of the postmasters in the Hatfield-McCoy feud that was killed, and he had found that grave and located it with the help of the inmates by cleaning the cemetery off. It was available for people to see, and it's right there at the mouth of Phillips Branch, which is about a mile from where we cleaned the Frank Phillips Cemetery. But we have several good people over in that area that I would hope that in the future that we could get on the tourism board to help promote this. And I think Magistrate Harris has got some names he would like to bring up too.
Judge, I've been contacted by a couple of folks that are interested in serving on the tourism board, and I join with Magistrate Dotson in saying that I think that our side of the county needs some representation on the tourism board. As much tourism as is coming to Pike County right now as a result of the Hatfield-McCoy feud, we need some people on that board that have an interest or an insight into the feud sites and promoting the Hatfield-McCoy feud. Not that the ones that are on there now don't, but I think it should be representative of the entire county, not just a small section. Bob Scott, who owns the McCoy home place that was burnt down on New Year's night, was depicted in the miniseries. He's indicated an interest in being on the tourism board, as well as David Hatfield, who organizes the Hatfield-McCoy Marathon every year. Both of those are very good, qualified people And I think that they would both be an asset to the Tourism Commission if a place were to open.
I would suggest that the county attorney's office do some research, and we might need, if we can, enlarge that board. It's a very small board, and so that the county can have more representation on it. I think that Jeannie and Penny had informed me that this was a Kentucky Revised Statute appointment, and Mr. County Attorney, I think that was attached to the what we provided in our packet today.
By statute, the commission is to be composed of 2 commissioners appointed from a list of 3 or more names submitted by the Hotel and Motel Association, 1 commissioner from a list of 3 or more names submitted by the local Restaurant Association, 1 commissioner from a list of 3 submitted by the Chamber of Commerce, and 2 commissioners, basically, I guess I'd call those at-large commissioners, is the composition by statute of the Tourism Board. Having said that, there certainly would be nothing, I don't think, to prohibit the Tourism Board to have committees, maybe with representations from other areas to get input from the other.
Should an advisory board be established from each Marysville district? Mr. County Attorney,
that's kind of what I had in mind, if they wanted to establish an advisor.
Well, Judge, if that is possible, I'd like to make a motion that we get our county attorney to establish an advisory board, because I've had some reports, and I think Magistrate Harris has too, that we've had people from Texas and places that came into Pikeville to get information on the tour sites, and people has told them that there's really nothing out in the county other than what's in the city. And you know, I hate to hear anybody come back and report that somebody said something like that.
Let me say this, Mr. Dotson. The Pike County Tourism Board has worked 7 days a week since that documentary was on television. 7 days a week. Matter of fact, Secretary Sparrow, the Parks Commissioner, and 4 of their staff was in Blackberry last week on a tour of that area, along with the tour of the sites here in Pikeville. After that meeting, they went to the Breaks Interstate Park, where I joined them for a session at the Breaks Interstate Park. We're glad to see the Secretary up here, but I agree with Magistrate Dotson that there need to be something set up, and he has made the motion. Does your motion include approval of the former First Lady reappointment and the appointment that the Resting Committee has given us under the statute? And then part of your motion is to authorize the county attorney to do some research, and that if we can, set up an advisory board.
Yeah, Judge, I think, you know, the board that we have there, I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong. I just had a guy that he does the tours in the county tell me and Magistrate Harris both the same thing, and it could have been the Pikeville city people, but they said they told them it wasn't nothing out in the county to see other than what's here in the city. And you know, that's where it all happened at, is over in the county. You know, we've got a house down here that was a little bit into it, and the Deal Cemetery, but you know, all the actual sites are out in the county and over in Mingo County. But I'd like to do that motion, and maybe we can get more people on the board, and it might help create more things going on.
Good shape. Have a second? Have a second from Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Yes. Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
I guess you need a motion, or you're making a motion to appoint the Adam Hatton.
I'm recommending.
You recommend? Well, I'll second the motion.
Have a motion, Madam Clerk. You can separate that. And the motion appointing under the statute, the one recommended by the Restaurant Association, Adam Hatton.
I'm going to need a second.
Have a motion and a second, so have a roll call vote on that one, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Madam Clerk, I'll give you a copy of that statute so you'll have it for the record.
I'll put it in. Thank you.
We have worked some time trying to get the Dinky Trail that runs from the head of Johns Creek before you go over into Peter Creek, trying to get the Dinky Road so that we could put a bicycle trail, horse trail, or walking trail on the old Dinky Road that runs from Johns Creek over into what's known as Runyon's Fork or Runyon's Branch. On the map, the old map showed it was Adkins's branch, but the state had that road into their system, as they had years ago. Hatch, they always had connecting roads, always was in the state system. A road that connected to another state road, they always kept it in the system. So we talked to the district engineer about how this property could be used for that purpose that I mentioned. Not that it would be closed to vehicular traffic, but signage could be placed on it. The Pike County Tourism Commission, matter of fact, recommended that last year and put money in their budget for the signage. The road would still be as it is today. The road would never be upgraded because it would be kept. Hillman, there are no houses on that road, as I understand. So this resolution was asked for by Mrs. Holbrook at the Transportation Cabinet office for the county to take over the maintenance of that road, and so that it could be preserved as a heritage trail for the purpose of vehicular traffic that uses it, and also for bicycle trail and others, and that signage could be placed on it.
Judge, I'm unaware, and Magistrate Harris, he says he's unaware of any discussions whatsoever we've had with the state. You know, I guess if we accept it, he will be getting about 3 miles, and District 5 will be getting about 3 miles of dirt road. And I can't blame the state for wanting to get rid of it. You know, when you accept 6 miles of dirt and gravel road into the county road system with the budget we have to operate on right now, it's going to make it really, really hard for us to keep up with it.
There's no maintenance on this road. This will be a heritage road, no blacktopping, no expenditure of money. Now, the last time that I didn't go over the road, Bobby Branham drove over the road 2 or 3 times in the last year. And the highway department had it in there for years. They have no plan to blacktop the road because it is a dinky road put back in the early 1900s. And we know that the dinky engine that they used wasn't a very big one and couldn't pull much, but it was to haul logs, back when logs was a prominent thing and not coal. And that dinky road had been in there since the late 1800s. And they had no plans, no intention of expending any taxpayers' money on that road. And I would not expect that. I expect the road to stay as it is today, and that there would be no taxpayers' money spent on it in the future.
Judge, there's still a lot of traffic that crosses that road.
I'll make the motion and see how the vote goes in regard to accepting it in the system, so that the tourism can put the signage up for a bicycle trail and other trails on this roadway in the county.
Are you going to give us some additional money?
They don't need any money. That's what I'm
who's
saying.
going to
There's
keep
no
it
money
up?
involved
If you have
in
a
it.
tree fall up there, who's going to go move it?
There's no money involved. The state highway department says that their records show that they have not been expenditure of money in a number of years on that road.
Judge, I live over where they grade that road and they gravel it constantly, and our road commissioner probably travels and he sees what I'm saying. You know, it's in the winter months. There's always trees falling on it, and
I'll just lay it aside and have you go over between now and the next meeting and make an inspection of the road. Have you been over that road recently? So if you'd go over and give us back a report on it and bring it back to the court, we'll take it up again.
Judge, I want to chime in here a little bit and say that I agree with Magistrate Dotson. This is not a road that I want to take into the county road system. It's a very rough road, but it is used. People do use it. The state maintains it. And why we would want to take that into our county road system when the state is the one that's responsible for it now, I don't see the benefit in that.
We'll lay it aside, and Hatch, you go over and bring us back a report on it. Next, we have the awarding of bids. Don't have any today. Magistrate Roadwork. Motion, Magistrate Anderson. Have a second. Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson? Yes. Magistrate Murphy? Yes. Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Magistrate comments. Magistrate Anderson.
Judge, just the only thing I was going to do is wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I think it's today the jailers' lunch, so I don't know I don't know if it's open to the public or not, but I'll go ahead and invite everybody.
We're going to go ahead and get their comments out of the way, and then we're going to take the energy thing up next. Magistrate Anderson, do you have anything else? Magistrate Johnson.
I don't have anything.
I just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Magistrate Dodson.
Judge, I would like to see if we can find out where we stand on our road improvements on Route 194 and 632.
We have a meeting set up, and Jeannie will be getting in touch with you on our monthly meeting with Mrs. Holbrook, and you can attend that meeting and get a complete update.
Maybe when we get to talk to her about that, then we'll talk about the Dinky Trail too. But you know, I told you in the past that I was going to continue bringing that up so we won't forget about it. And I'd like to see if we could get involved with the state when they start directing their work on that road with that $1 million that
We're going to try
Representative
to
Hall
get a schedule set up so we'll know when that work is going to start on.
I appreciate you including us in on that. And then another thing, Judge, I've got a couple people from over at the Elk Creek Road project with us today. Pastor Larry Rife and his brother Johnny, and they live up in Elk Creek. And I had a call a few weeks ago from a resident in Elk Creek that said they had told them that Kentucky was holding the road project up, and it was in our hands. But we had a meeting, if you can remember, a couple of months ago with the engineer in the back, and he had discussed 3 items that they were working on, and one of them was they wanted us to tell them what kind of a crossing protection that they need to put up at that road crossing. Another one was they needed to move a telephone pole, and another one was they need to buy some property to extend a bridge. And Roland was present, I think, wasn't you, Roland, at the time we had the meeting. And at that point, I thought we were clear on everything we had to do. We've already done it. Is that not right, Roland?
Mr. County Attorney.
Yes, Judge. The last time I was at the meeting you were at, and last time I talked to Lee Moisey, the county attorney or whatever his position is over in Virginia, the holdup was negotiating with the railroad about the crossing and some land and exactly where the road was going. But I will check with Lee and see if there's where we're at and if anything else needs to be done. But as far as I am aware from the Kentucky end, everything has been done. And if I could at this time, if someone would, I need to clarify a previous order that got typed up. Well, I don't know that it was typed up incorrectly, but if someone could make a motion that the remainder of the money in the account designated for this project can be dispersed at my direction to finalize the transfer of the property in question. We have the right of entry. I have an agreement with the administrator of the estate, and I need to transfer the rest of the money out of that account. And our treasurer indicated that the order just provided for the payment of the appraiser, so I need to clarify that the
County attorney says he needs an order of this court to proceed to transfer the property.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion and we go ahead and do that. I know these people have waited a long time for this. And
Motion by Magistrate Dotson. Have a second. Have a second by Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson.
yes,
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Ruth.
Yes.
Judge, but I would like to clarify that that is not holding the project up whatsoever. We have the right of entry, and they're working on it and planning it. I just need to close out that account and get the money paid to the administrator. Thank you.
County attorney, will you try to make contact with somebody in Virginia and find out where we stand on it? If we can get a time frame on when they plan on trying to begin construction or whatever.
Try to get a timeline on it from the county attorney.
And I'll let y'all know as soon as I hear from them.
Magistrate Dotson.
Appreciate y'all
Anything
coming
else?
over today. Judge, got another thing here. Our four-wheeler trails, Roland, last time that we met, we discussed the possibility that the county has some options that they could implement to start doing four-wheel on the highway traffic from trail to trail. And I think Roland had asked me to give him the name of some roads that would be involved in this trail system. And we have several roads beginning at Burnwell over in District 6 and ending up in Buchanan County, Virginia, that the trails will go from one to the other. And I really don't know, Judge, what roads that we can give him other than maybe giving him a county map and pointing out the roads that would be involved.
County attorney, would it have to be roads that we had control of the property or an easement?
Well, I think there's two different types. Is if you're talking about a county roads, then that we can do that locally. If you're going to allow ATV travel on a Kentucky state highway, then we have to petition the Department of Transportation for them to designate it as such. And so I need to know what area that you're wanting to allow it. In other words, from point A to point B. I mean, there's no way, in my opinion, that the Kentucky Department of Transportation is just going to give a blanket allowance to allow ATV travel on all state highways in the county of Pike. I mean, that's not realistic.
Roland, I understand what you're saying, and what we're wanting is to try to promote tourism. We're wanting to try to get some trailheads. Charles is working on some buildings that we could set up and use them for trailheads. And if we don't get started somewhere or other, we're never going to get this thing going. I mean, we've been talking about this trail system for many years now, and we're still at the same point that we were when we first started. And if we could get a map to you showing you the areas that Summit has got on record for our four-wheeler trails, would that be what you would need?
Yep, and then we could petition the state. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that the state would allow it, but that's
We
the
can't
step
do
for us to
anything on
take.
private property, is what you're saying.
Well, this wouldn't be on private property; it'd be on the state highway, Judge. Is what we're trying to get the.
As I understand what Mr. Dotson is proposing is that if, for example, you had a trail that ended at point A on a state highway and then it picked back up at point B on a state highway to allow ATV travel from point A to point B. But I need to know where point A and where point B is so we can prepare a petition to the Department of Transportation.
I know Chris says we don't have any trails, but we have spent a lot of money getting trails. We've got the possibility of getting trails in Pike County, and if we wait until somebody just comes up and says, we're going to give you that property, we ain't going to never get it. And Judge, you know, I believe if you would appoint a committee of somebody to work on this.
We have spent hours and hours and hours and hours, Judge Hayes, Mr. Carlton, myself, plenty of others, meeting after meeting after meeting, and mostly it's been with out-of-state companies, landholding companies. We have a work session again that Jeannie's setting up. You will be getting an invitation to come to the work session. It is on a piece of property that there'll be approximately 3,000 acres and 17 miles. That is forthcoming, we think. We have the map. We have it from the landholding company. What was done 6 or 7 years ago is not in force at this time. Not one piece of property that was laid out of 383 property owners was ever gained and had permission to use their property. This is property, we're looking at 2 locations. One, Mr. Dotson, is partially in your magisterial district. The other one, Magistrate Murphy, is in your district. That will be the first one that Judge Hayes has in his hand. That is a proposal only that we will be having a work session on within the next few days. This was just made available to our office last week from the landholding company. So matter of fact, part of this, Leo, is on property owned by Pike County Fiscal Court. It's where the old landfill used to be, where we're having to maintain the old solid waste landfill up in your district. So this property is, we'll be having a work session, and any of the magistrates that want to attend can attend, and we hopefully we get this approximately 3,000 acres and 17 miles. Then we can move. We've worked on it for a reason, because we have an extension on some funds that was in place when I came into office, money that is matched dollar per dollar. And we don't want to lose that $100,000 that had been appropriated for the trail system. So hopefully in the next few days we will have that meeting, and the magistrate that wants to come, particularly those 2 in their districts that we're talking to the landholding company about, that we will proceed to become involved and meet what the county judge executive and the courts in Eastern Kentucky have decided to do, and that is to put on property owned by coal companies or land companies where we wouldn't have to deal with 380-some private property owners to get permission to use their property. So hopefully that we will proceed on this and finally save the money that we have already in place and protect that. And I will have to get a letter out within the next few days of setting out the action that we've taken. When we got the extension, they asked us to do that, so we will get that to them and hopefully save this funding and begin a program that will be an extensive program in different areas of the county. And they're looking at a site over in, I think it's Magistrate Johnson's district, and over in Magistrate Robinson's district. It goes over into both of them in the future. And those are owned by landholding companies or out-of-state landholding company They do have representatives locally here. Might add that they have been very cooperative thus far, and their engineers have worked with us.
Judge, I appreciate what you've done there, and that's going to be a good thing. You know, anything we can do with trails is good. But I'm not going to back up on, we've already spent probably close to $100,000 having this other stuff mapped out. And that would be money thrown away. I feel like if we would get somebody to go and ask some of these coal companies and show them a proposal that we're going to furnish insurance or whatever to let people ride on their property.
Mr. Dotson, these are not coal companies. These are individual owners
But still,
of
Judge,
property.
these people are having people ride on their property now,
We agree with that.
and they don't have insurance. And if we can show the private landowners that they're going to be protected, then it might help them sign a paper. And a lot of people over my way would love to see this happen.
The landholding companies who own the mineral and some owns the property, they want flex trails, and that's what the states call them for. That's what all the planners are calling for. Which means if we put a trail in, which on this property, that's Judge Hayes has the map. If we put it in and they say, well, we want to mine coal on a certain area, they will move this trail on their property. And we will, of course, help move it, and we will continue the trail program. This is how it's working in Knott County and every other county that's moving forward in regard to the ATV trails. It gets you 3,000 acres, 17 miles, on one swipe, instead of taking 6 months or a year of trying to get 300 and some property owners to sign to go for trail. And that's what we're looking at. That's partly in your district, is property owned by 2 landholding companies, I think it is, 2 different landholding companies, and trying to get permission to use it for ATV trail.
Judge, that's good. I really like it. But we still need to get our trail system to where people can ride their four-wheelers down into the little communities like Freeburn, Phelps, Elkhorn, or wherever, and buy their gas and buy their food and promote tourism like Gilbert and places that's growing in West Virginia.
We're putting the same system in that they have on the Hatfield-McCoy Trail. Same thing, no different. Those trails are not tied together. They're not tied together any place. They are different trailheads. Phase 2, 3, 4, and 5 in future years, when money is available, those will be tied together. Same as the other counties putting in your trail system. They're only putting them on property of 3,000 to 5,000 acres owned by a coal company or a landholding company. That is where they're putting the trails. Under the old system that was in place, that we refer back to, it had all these property owners on it, that system never did go anywhere. It never did get anybody signed up. The Hatfield family is the first family supposed to sign, and they decided not to sign up. If you remember, the Hatfield family.
Judge, I don't mean to interrupt you, but what's being proposed here is not the same that's happening in West Virginia, the Mingo County, the Southern West Virginia trails, which has been my objection to what we're trying to do here. What they have over there is a state-supported regional authority
Correct.
that operates their trail system.
Correct.
It's not a county here and a county there trying to fund these things all on their own. They look at it from a state perspective and they say, this is good for our state or our region.
Correct.
It brings in X number of dollars worth of taxes, so we're going to operate it knowing that we're going to get more tax revenue from the people that are coming to visit in the big picture. But county by county, it doesn't. It's very difficult to make it
not
cash
want to
flow.
be involved in this trail system.
And if you'll go around and ask Knott County, and if they're making money through the county, or is it costing them money through the county, they're probably not making any money doing these trail systems. In the big picture, yes. On the statewide picture, yes, we're bringing in visitors from out of state. They're spending their money locally, buying gas, buying food, staying in hotels. All that's good, but how much does it bring in enough for Pike County to justify us supporting our own little trail system when we've got how many, hundreds and hundreds of landowners that we have to bring on board? I mean, this is going to be a tremendous undertaking to get these landowners on board for this system, for it not to be able to cash flow with no assistance from the state.
No
And we don't
assistance
have any assistance,
Judge Hayes,
commitment other than just a one-time, here's some money to build a trailhead, that type of commitment. Now, when I was involved at the beginning, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about developing a regional authority that included Pike, Martin, Johnson, Floyd, Magoffin, Letcher, Perry, all these counties, and grouping them together in one group and having one authority operate the trail system. There would be full-time employees, people who would go out, get the easements from the landowners, maintain the trail systems, have rangers to make sure that people are following the rules, all those things. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's not just as simple as saying, well, we're doing what they're doing and starting to ride trails. People, yeah, you're right. They do ride on these trails already, but they're riding as trespassers. They're trespassing on people's land, and until they have authority to do that, we as a county shouldn't be involved in it.
That's the way it's going to be done. The state of Kentucky is not going to do what West Virginia has done, appropriated no funds. Judge Hayes, you've worked on this time and time again.
Let me say, Magistrate Harris, I don't think the judge meant it was like the Hatfield-McCoy Trails in terms of its organizational structure. That's not. We all agree. You're absolutely correct. But what he meant was that in terms of the actual layout of the trail system, it's not like Skyward or whatever. It's not meant to be across county to connect to Letcher to Knott to eventually go to Western Kentucky. That was the concept that we started with, I think, when they got to 383 property owners, a linear trail all the way across Pike County. But what he meant was in terms of procuring a trail, we've got a landholding company that's willing to do this at no cost. The trails are already there, and the map that was prepared was done for us by this company at no cost. And the fellows who helped prepare this map, who we met with, and by the way, we're going to have another meeting as soon as we can arrange it. And we've already discussed Magistrate Dotson, because of his great interest in trails, attending that. You're welcome to come, anybody else. But this is not something that we're going to spend great monies to do. It's to procure the use of a piece of land that will not cost us anything for our people to ride on trails that are already in existence. And so it's in that respect, it is a loop trail. We found out from talking with the folks who set up Hatfield-McCoy that people don't want to get on a four-wheeler and go from point A to point B and not have any transportation back to their car, their motel room, their camp, or whatever. They want to be able to get on a four-wheeler and ride for a day or a weekend and be able to come back where they were. So we've got this area and another area that will give the ATV proponents and enthusiasts in Pike County a chance to ride, and it's not going to cost us these great sums of money that you're talking about. I wish we did have that kind of authority. That's the best system. I hate to say that West Virginia is ahead of Kentucky in anything, but they are in that. I will agree with you, but until we get something else going, that's what we want to do. And Magistrate Dotson, our plans are not just to leave these as an isolated thing. We certainly want people to be able to get off to our businesses, our restaurants, our motels. And, we got to start somewhere. We've talked and talked and talked about developing riding opportunities and good ones for the ATV riders in Pike County and those who want to come in here and ride in these beautiful mountains. And this is step one, and on down the road we're going to be able to accomplish hopefully some big things. But certainly we can't just keep talking. We've got to do, and this is step one. I think it's a good step, Magistrate Harris, in that we don't have to take county dollars, and the state's not about to give us any dollars, and I think we can eventually address those concerns of Magistrate Dotson to get trails that lead out of these areas into areas, maybe even down to state roads, and then we can address what we need to with the state or the county government, which we are, in terms of riding these ATVs to get to these commercial areas. So it wasn't meant to, we know we're not doing it like West Virginia in terms of organization. We wish we could, but we're doing it in terms of loop trails that'll give our ATV people in Pike County and those who come into this area an opportunity, and a great opportunity for challenging ATV opportunities. Thank you.
Any other questions on that? We will invite the magistrates. We will be having a meeting real soon in regard to this issue, and the magistrates will be invited.
Judge, sound like I've stirred up a whole lot of stuff, and it sounds to me like that West Virginia's a lot smarter than Kentucky. You know, they've already got theirs up and going, and they went through the same things that we're dealing with right now. So maybe we can call somebody over and ask them, you know, what do we need to do?
Had a state representative who introduced legislation 2 sessions. It passed the House of Representatives 99 to nothing twice, and never did get called up in the Senate, and therefore, and that legislation that was drawn up by committee was drawn up by people testifying from the Hatfield-McCoy Trail in West Virginia. And we never did get no legislation, so the county judge executives and others just gave up, and the area development districts gave up. Mrs. Runyon and Mr. Ward at Kentucky River, they hosted 2 meetings, one in Prestonsburg, one in Louisville, at a statewide meeting where that all of us got together and decided to go under the same system that we're proposing here in Pike County. So we hope that we'll get something happening in regard to the ATV trails in the next few days.
Well, you know, the legislators are getting ready to probably go in session here. And it might be, we don't have David Williams now to block these projects, and maybe we'll be able to get something through. You know, you've got a lady there that's interested in this stuff. She called me, and you said we were going to have a meeting up at the Breaks. I don't know when, but she's over the tours. But I just hate to see us spend all that money. These trails are already made. They're already there. And we just need somebody to go and ask somebody to sign off. Have you got a record on how many people we've asked to sign their property over?
Well, there was a vast amount of them.
I know we had a guy working that was paying good money, but I never did see no reports on anything he had done. But we'll move on, I guess. That pool cover is not on the pool yet. You got anything we can find out about it?
I just talked to him this morning. It will be here within the next 2 weeks.
Next 2 more weeks?
That's what he said.
Well, we might just need to wait and let it go. I mean, it'll be springtime before you know it. And, you know, I can't figure out why in the world it takes 2 months to get a pool cover bought and put on a swimming pool. We've spent over $100,000 on that pool, and we can't even get a cover put on it.
They got to make it. And then they've got to ship
There are
it.
more people than one sells one. I'd get with Frankie, and if you can't get it from them, cancel that order and get you another then. And get it where you can drive and pick it up.
Okay.
Master Dotson.
Judge, last thing, I guess, John said we've got our money from a cold severance to start doing some work over at the Kemper Senior Citizen Center. And I guess it's a pass-through when we get it. Well, maybe we can try to get Mountain Enterprise to go ahead and do the work before they shut down for the season, and then let us pay them later.
Hatch, you want to help him in regard to that?
Hatch, I know it's not a county road. It's that little project over at the Kemper Senior Citizen Center.
Have they give you a quote on it, Hilma?
Yeah, they've already give the committee a quote, which Carl's on the committee, and when the check passes through, it'll just be turned over to the committee, and then they'll pay the bill. But think Ruth has already given her a price, ain't she, Carol, on what it's going to cost?
Randy Casey had got a quote, Frank, from Mountain Enterprise that was given to Rhonda James as a drawdown on that. My understanding, I was told the check came in. Johnny can answer that question, but so I assume if that has, then the question would be whether Randy would contact Mountain Enterprise since he had talked to the lady about the quote, and because from what I understand from Magistrate Dotson is he's wanting to go ahead and get that blacktop as soon as possible.
I'll call Ruth right now in a minute, find out if she'll go ahead and do it when the money's passed down to pay for it.
Good shape.
I'd like to make that motion, Judge,
Carol, do you
that
all
if
want the
they will
money
do
in
it,
your hand?
we'll go ahead and get them to do it and then pay them later.
Madam Treasurer.
You want the money transferred to you all?
Yeah, if it's all right, then, John, what I'll do is just do a memo as we did before when we do the drawdowns, and I'll go ahead and request that so we'll have that check available so that when Mountain Enterprises does the asphalting, then we can go ahead and issue the check, if that's okay.
We already had approval from last court meeting. Once we do the second reading on this budget amendment, that I can pass the whole $100,000 to you.
Okay.
And those will go on this accounts payable list as soon as we get the budget amendment ready.
Said you already had permission from the last meeting?
So don't need an action by the court?
No,
Already got the action twice.
we got Mountain Pub Links, we got the Breaks Interstate Park,
Correct.
we got the
Correct.
Belfry Fire Department, and we got Kemper Community Center yesterday. Shelby Valley Rescue did not come in.
I'm just thinking logistically, though, what Master Dotson was talking about, the $100,000 will go ahead and transfer that, and then the committee can make the decision to go ahead and pay, to ask Mountain Enterprises to go ahead and pay. So there's no
Yeah, we're passing the money
by the court.
to the community center, and they can make the bills and then present Rhonda with copies of canceled checks and the invoice to back up the documentation for Frankfurt.
Any other questions in regard to that? Magistrate Dotson.
Judge, that's all I have. Thank you.
Magistrate Hart.
Judge, before y'all go any farther, I just talked to Ruth. She said that she would talk to Mr. Vanover because he's the one that gave him the quote and see what his schedule was, if he could get it done, and she'd contact me back. She said, if he wasn't booked up before the plant closed, but as soon as I find out him and Carol, I'll let y'all know. She'll be returning my call.
Well, let's hope that works and we get it done before winter. Magistrate Hart.
Roland, I'd like an update on our briefing schedule for the UMG open records request lawsuit.
I hope to have it filed next Tuesday.
Okay, when you file that, I'd like to have a copy of it if you don't care.
I'll be glad to let you proofread it before I file it.
No, I don't need to do
like
that. I don't need to do that, but I would like to see it when it's filed.
That'll be fine.
The other thing, Judge, if I recall hearing that you all had filed, that your office had filed an open records request with the airport board for the sale of the Marion's Branch property. Is that true? Did your office file open records request for the documents relating to the Marion's Branch purchase from the airport by the city?
If we did, Roland, it's been months and months ago, hasn't it? It's nothing that's recent.
Judge, I did not prepare that. I think that your office did prepare that request, and I think it was several months ago, back when the commercial airport was being discussed.
Issue was on the table.
Right. I think it did come out of your office, but I did not prepare it. But I think it was back when all that discussion was going on.
I think that other issue is probably what I'm getting at. Did you ever find out what the sales price for the Marion's Branch property was?
Well, I'll have to review that file, and Jeannie's not here to go get it. But we need to get that file, and I'll give you a report on that. And the price that they paid for the property.
I guess I'm interested in a couple things, because what I'm hearing from various sources is that one, the price was greatly reduced due to subsequent appraisals, that the first appraisal came in and they didn't like what the first appraisal said, And then, so they got another appraisal, and then another appraisal came in.
That's essentially what happens, that they got an appraisal. The first one was that the property was developed, that it had streets, it had electricity, it had drainage, it had all. And then they didn't take that. They went back and asked that they get another one because nothing's developed up there. And that's the reason, but I'll give you what's in our file.
Did you get copies of the appraisals, the various appraisals?
Maybe we did. I'll have to review that file, but we'll give you everything in that we've got and gathered up on that.
Okay, I'd like to see that, because the information that I'm getting, or the phone calls that I'm getting, apparently some people believe that the city did not pay the entire amount that was contracted for, the entire amount of the sales price. In fact, and if I could find out exactly what the sales price ended up being, does anybody know that information? What the sales price for the Marion's Branch property?
I'll have Jeannie give you everything that's in our file in regard to that and what we got back from them.
Okay. Well, I would like to see that, because there's some issues that are going on there that if they're true, they need to be investigated and they need to be looked into as to why the city didn't pay the full purchase price for the property. And I think that involves some multiple appraisals, and then also involves some deductions that they generously gave to themselves. So if you would get me that information, Judge, I would appreciate it.
Make it available to you.
That's all I've got.
Next, we have the perfection group with us today. And Penny, if you would get me my perfection book in there in my office, I would probably need it in a minute. I don't know what they have ready to put up on the monitor board, but if they have it, they can use it. But we have spent, as you all are aware, quite a few hours discussing what our situation is in regard to and I don't know whether you all have any handouts for the court or anything today. And Judge Hayes has given them to us. So,
hey, Judge, is it possible that we could take a break, go to lunch, and then come back and finish this up afterwards? We've got a big old celebration going on over across the street over there, and a lot of us like to go over there and take part of it. And I hate to see us be here at 2 o'clock today.
Not in the jail, at the jail, Hillman.
Well, we might be in there if we don't straighten up.
Today is our annual Thanksgiving dinner, and Jailer Scott has invited the court. So if I don't know what, how much time, you all won't need much time.
I won't need much time. I think I won't need more than probably 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most.
But we have discussed this and discussed it, and we've been provided information for months and months and months. This is the second one of these that we've had, the second one that's in detail. And so I don't think, and I know that it's getting about 15 till, but if you want to start, and then we'll look at about 12 o'clock and see how.
I'll be as brief as possible. What we try to do, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody, if I forget at the end of this. What we did when we left here, we tried to put a plan together of looking at what we might be able to pull out of this to lower the costs but keep the savings where or near where we were. Problem is, when we get into removing costs, you also remove the savings that go with it. So we we pared down a list of the top from 1 to 9 or 1 to 10 energy savings rankings, and Mr. Case got back to us and said, we want to look at this, and we tried to pare it down. The savings model basically reflected the same that we brought to you last time, with some negative numbers where it comes to the cash flow for years 1 through 5 or 6 until it started getting positive again. So in addition to doing that, we also talked to Civic Finance Advisors, who does the work with CAECO, have a partnership with CAECO. Met with them last Friday, talked to them about what our concerns were, what we were looking at for a model, and the concerns of the county, and wanting it to cash flow positively every year. How do we do that within this model and be able to get as much work done as we needed to that we saw for the county? I know that after our meeting, they talked to Jonda about a couple different things. They brought back this model that you've got in front of you. One's a 16-year cash flow and one is a 20-year cash flow. If you notice on both of those, the 20-year cash flow would be positive every year. I think that was a pretty much a given. The 16-year, we initially came to you guys with a 15-year cash flow. Because of what they can do for the county, they extended it a year, and if you look on the right, they did create a positive cash flow every year. In addition, we checked with some of our folks on the engineering side. We were able to identify maybe $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, somewhere right around there, of additional rebates from the utility companies. Those will be documented at the end of the project, but we're pretty confident we missed it on the low side, so there'll be some additional savings on the front side of the program with that. So it's gone from about $25,000 to about $55,000 in rebates, so that's a good thing. You'll still get your operational savings and your guaranteed energy savings as part of this program. The one thing that we did have investigated as well and reported to us is that on the job that we did for Jessamine County, like we were proposing here, we just hit 108% of our savings model in the first year of the performance. So it's holding true. You know, it's one of our first big projects in the state of Kentucky from the municipality standpoint. And so we were at 108% of the actual savings model for them, and they spent about $800,000 if that's correct.
Would you give us the list of the buildings that you have listed?
What I've done is the original storyboards that we created for you. Everything is still back on there. I tried to pare it down from buildings. The courthouse and the Hall of Justice are your big energy drivers in this program. We added also the animal shelter because that is a brand new building and it has a high energy use, which is not typical for the systems that are in place. That was a small retrocommissioning program that cost was low, savings were good. Then we added the Belfry Courthouse as well, which was part of it, and the Phelps Courthouse. Those are the buildings we were looking at when we pared things down from a ranking of 1 to 5. Again, when we did that, the savings model and the cost model really didn't change a whole lot. It was still, as we ran the models, the models were still negative. What we did do is we went back to the original storyboards that we gave to you guys, included everything that we thought was necessary, but with the help of the CAECO financing model, they were able to give us the cash flows because they were able to manipulate and massage the financial model from a standpoint of when you pay different amounts according to the savings schedule that we provided to you. So that's where it worked out well from the 16-year model. It didn't work well in the 15, so we asked if we could extend it, and we did. And I'm not sure what additional conversations that they had with John after our meeting on Friday, but they were pretty confident that this would work, and they got back to us, and this right here is directly from Civic Finance Advisors. Anything, John, that you want to? The other thing that we were looking at is trying to meet the timeline for construction, developing the financial model, getting the construction started. If you guys approve this project and when it would finish, we feel pretty confidently if we can get this thing started now, our project timeline would be completed by the end of this next fiscal year, so that you could go fiscal year to fiscal year. The Civic Finance Advisors model was based on that as well, so they were looking at meeting that idea and strategy as well from our last court meeting that we had.
Are you all ready with your counsel to start negotiating if the court would pass it today would be favorable. Are you ready to start negotiations with the Pike County Attorney's Office to make sure that the fiscal court would not be held liable in the future?
Yes, absolutely.
Any questions, Mr. County Attorney? Do you have any?
I'm confused. So are you back to having all the buildings in the plan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Roland had told me Pike County, the Pikeville Courthouse, Belfry Animal Shelter and Hall of Justice. No one I heard was the Phil.
Belfry Courthouse.
Phelps
Unless
Courthouse.
I misunderstood, you're saying you put all the buildings back in.
We did, because when you take out a cost of a building that has energy savings with it, you don't get, it's not just a cost mechanism. You also lose the savings with it. So it goes down. You're losing costs, sure. So the cost of the project's going down, but you're also losing the savings that help bundle everything together. So it did make sense to pull all those out from that standpoint. For instance, the META daycare center, the cost on that is relative to the savings. The savings is all lighting, so it's a big driver in the energy. If you pull that out, you'd actually lose more savings than you had versus the cost in that. Does that make sense, Roland? Does that make sense, Roland?
Yes and no. I understand what you're saying. The problem from my standpoint, and it may not be the court's position, is the META daycare we do not operate.
Okay.
It's probably a money loser for us because they pay a low rent. I don't know whether they reimburse the electrical bills or not. I assume they do.
I don't think we've paid for the electric.
Yeah. So I guess
They pay the electric and then pay us $400 a month rent.
yeah, they pay that electric. So we would basically be financing something to benefit somebody else, which is the problem I had with that particular facility. Okay.
Well, that's fine. If that's still something that needs to be pulled back out, we can do that. We can eliminate the costs and the savings on there and still run it through the model of a 16-year cash flow and be able to work that.
What about the intergenerational centers?
Right now, the one that's in there is Phelps Intergenerational Center. It's still in there. Lighting in that building is very good. The controls are very good. What we would look at, I believe, there is 5 new HVAC units, heating and cooling, for that facility.
Got a question. What are you going to do with the ones in it right now?
What about
the heating and cooling units up in the ceiling? Hey, are you going to take them out, or cut the ceiling out, or what?
No, I think if I remember, there's probably a drop ceiling in there. It's and there's actually an attic roof space in the intergenerational center as well through one of the back hallways on the right. You go up through there. We'll take the air handling units out of there. We'll leave the ductwork because that doesn't need to be replaced. But we will replace the outdoor and the indoor unit like you have at your house. It's called a split system. We'll replace those. There's 5 units at the intergenerational, and at your courthouse there's 2 old units that are probably close to 25 years old or better. Those 2 are slated to be replaced as well.
But the ones in the intergenerational building now are the maintenance people. Dames told me they're hard to get out. Is that right?
They may be, but we do this on a daily basis, and we have technicians that go from crawl spaces underneath facilities to working in attics that got this much space in them. So we're used to that. It's a turnkey operation for everything that we're doing here, and it's something that we do in our daily business every day. That won't be an issue.
They'll just have to be dismantled in order to be brought out. That's what he's saying.
Sure.
What are you going to do if these units that are still working, like it's in pretty good condition? What your plans for them, like over at Belfry Courthouse, the ones that's maybe 10, 12 years old?
Belfry Courthouse, I think we got them at 15 years old. Those are slated to be replaced as well. Not all of them made sense to do it. The Phelps Intergenerational Center, those units aren't as old as the Phelps Courthouse, But from an energy standpoint and an operational standpoint in the savings model, it makes sense to revamp those, put in new units that are higher efficiency, and reduce your operational costs related to those things. Same thing with the Belfry Courthouse. Those units are, help me out here, they might be 20 years old, 15 to 20 years old. They're not in terrible shape, but there are some efficiencies you can get from the standpoint of electricity use, because those are all heat pumps, and they're, in addition, the thermostats and controls that operate that will help them, the newer systems work more accurately and efficiently.
The reason I was asking, we have a lot of fire departments and a lot of buildings out in the county that maybe could use some of these products. And I was wondering what your plans on when you take them out. Are they going to be at your discretion? What to
Will
do
you make
with them,
those
or?
available to the county?
That's a great point. It's up to you guys. It's your equipment. We're pulling it out. Typically, if it's in a point of disrepair, we're going to get rid of it.
Mr.
Now,
County Attorney, will you see if we get into negotiations that you handle that the ones removed comes to the county, and then we can make a decision on what we do with it?
yeah, we'd be happy to make recommendations as we remove it, what's good and what's not. There may be a good outdoor unit at the Belfry Courthouse and a bad indoor unit, but you may have 3 or 4 of these things. We may be able to pair 2 good ones together and throw out the bad, if that makes sense. Sure.
You need guidance on 16 years or 20 years?
Me? Yeah, it's up to you guys. I
said, do you need guidance on, do you need to know which one we want to go with?
Sure. The 16 years is going to pay back. That's the beauty of the 16 years. You're not making payments. Now, what happens is on an annual basis, you'll have a little more money rolling through your operational budget. That's the value of the 20-year, but didn't know how long you wanted to go and pay on a program like this. Is it 15 years or 16 years, or is it 20 years? But that's up to you guys. It's your program on what you want to do from an expense and debt service standpoint.
I understand you recommend 16 years if we would consider it.
Yeah, I would recommend 16 years myself. I know if it was my buildings, I would want to go as low as possible.
Madam Treasurer.
There's more savings with the 16-year, but you don't get the bulk of it until the 17th through the 20th. The bigger savings is at that point, the smaller savings. And I guess it's saying that we're going to save $133,000 basically, or $134,000 in electric bills, enough to make the payment. So then we have a $5,000, $5,662 coffer in the first year of the 2014 fiscal year.
That in addition to your initial year, construction and utility rebates, you'll have a positive.
And there's a possibility with the jail debt service, the Series 2005 bonds, that they could convert it with that during a certain time frame, which may be an increased savings. We'd have to wait and see how that combined would be. But they have sent me information on refinancing the 2005 jail expansion project, which would save us $20-some thousand over the next 20 years. Over the next 23 years, from 2013 till 2036.
When are they going to take a look at that, Madam Treasurer?
Not until, I think, February or March of next year is when it would be able for call.
Okay. It would not be eligible till next year in regard to...
Combining those two.
Yes.
Okay.
Judge, if I might interrupt.
Which it's not going to
County
matter.
Attorney.
Which it wouldn't matter at this point, the way the models are written. There wouldn't be any payments made until the 2013-2014 budget anyway.
So that would be a viable mechanism to roll possibly this program in with that, the jail bonds. Okay.
That's what he's saying.
And he mentioned that to us as well, and I'm certainly a novice when it comes to that.
He says, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but if the county was interested in both the refunding and the energy savings project, it would make sense to combine into one financing.
Mr. County Attorney.
I think it might be beneficial to the court members if it's your department or maybe it's one of those gentlemen's department to run through the theory of the energy savings, about why you're willing to guarantee it and how it's financed and the savings. I think,
Okay.
and also, if you would, to state again that you're guaranteeing the savings and that it will be part of the contract.
Okay. If I don't hit the mark, I want you to tell me, okay, and what you're looking for. So, the guarantee, there's various states of energy savings, various states of operational savings that we look at in a program like this. The energy savings are driven by the various energy conservation measures, or ECMs. One is lighting. One is controls for the building. One is, which is your thermostats. One is mechanical upgrades, new mechanical systems, or repair and recommissioning of those mechanical systems. You've got roofing, you've got windows, you've got building envelope items. You might have renewable energies, which would be wind energy, solar energy, things like that. What we do is we run, because our business is based on mechanical systems.
Let me interrupt. I don't think they're interested as much in the science of it as they are the math of it.
Okay.
Let me see if I can help a little bit.
All right.
Okay. As I understand it, what the proposal would do, for example, at the Phelps Courthouse, you would take a 20-year-old heating and cooling unit and replace it with a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And theoretically, it would pay for itself with the energy that you would save, and the advantage to the court would be that we would have a new air conditioner rather than an old air conditioner.
Yeah. It would pay for the energy and the operational savings. For instance, last time we were in here, Terry had two bills. We estimated about $17,000, $18,000 of annual savings in operational costs for the court through this program. In one fell swoop last meeting with Terry, he had two bills that were over $9,000 just for the courthouse alone. Correct, Terry? You remember that?
So the theory is...
Or the Hall of Justice, sorry, and the courthouse.
The theory is that from the reduction of your energy use, you're going to take those dollars and make your payment. That's what creates your cash flow. The
reduction of energy and operational costs. Now, those two savings, one is energy, one is operational. The energy part of it, which is around $68,000 a year, is what perfection will guarantee to the court. That if you fall below $68,000 a year in annual savings for the energy side, we will pay you the difference for that. The operational savings are stipulated because we can't control some of the things that you might do within your operational budget. Certainly, $9,000 in a 3 or 4 week period that Terry spent on the Hall of Justice boiler and the controls on starters on the chiller in this building is certainly, that's 50% of your annual operational savings that we're estimating and projecting for you. So you can see where those are going to come through from that standpoint. But what is guaranteed to the court system is the actual energy savings, which is approximately $68,000 a year. And if we fall below that, we have to pay the difference. If we go above it, you guys keep that credit.
You're talking about the utility bills.
Yes, sir. Actual energy usage, absolutely.
And then the other thing that a couple of court members have asked me is, well, what's in it for them? And I assume what's in it for you is you're going to make a profit on putting all this equipment in.
We will charge you, let's say the project is what it is on this sheet here. We will charge you $1.35 million, okay, to do this work. You get the loan to cover that $1.35 million. Everything that we do is for that cost. We manage the project. We're not going to ask you for another cent from the court unless you change the scope of what we're doing. You want to add something different. But what we've put into these presentation books to you for this project and this proposal is going to cost you this. That's what you pay us. And we deliver what we've said in that book and what we might agree to as we move forward under contract.
So essentially you're acting as the construction manager and also the construction company, to use it in building terms.
Correct.
Okay. And you would put, and obviously we wouldn't sign it until the guarantee was put in it, and we would have the exact numbers.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. And based on your experience, would you recommend the 16-year model or the 20-year model?
My recommendation would be the 16-year model. only because I don't like paying for money. You're going to have a lower APR, annual interest rate, from a lower lease time or debt service time. The value, like John just said, was that your cash flow on an annual basis is going to be greater, but you're going to spend $133,000 or better more in costs for debt for borrowing their money over an additional 4-year period. What does the court want to do? Does they want to spend that, or do they want to save that in a 4-year period? My recommendation is 16 years. If it cash flows positively like it does, it's a win-win situation.
Any member of the court have any other question? Or Madam Treasurer, do you have any more?
Judge, I've got one.
Go right ahead.
Jonda, are we going to be able to make these payments with the payment we're going to get over to Hall Justice? That was one question, Judge, I asked last month. You know, I'm just wondering if when we borrow that kind of money, if we're not going to put ourselves
Supposedly
in
what's supposed to happen, Hillman, is that the savings of the $134,000, the savings of $87,000, almost $88,000, supposedly we're not going to be seeing anything any different.
You're paying that money out.
Our electric bills and everything are going to go down by that much during these years that we still have an excess cash flow that we're spending according to current rate. But on the flip side of that, if electricity goes up in price, those savings are going to go down if we still consume the same amount. Would that not be right?
Yeah, if your energy bills,
if your rate of your consumption goes up with the increases by the power company, then
I asked that question last time, and I thought that you said that if the energy goes up, our savings would go up.
it'll go up as well.
Right.
Absolutely. It's a ratio that
Because they're guaranteed
Yeah.
units, so if the price of electricity goes up, you'll save even more.
you're going to save more. It benefits the
But
program.
your bill's going
Right.
to go up because your electric.
I mean, it's all relative.
Correct.
Your payment will stay the
Yeah.
same, but your electric bill
What-
will gradually go up on the left hand.
What would hurt us in this whole model is if that your electric or your gas rates actually decreased in cost to you. That would put us in a bind only because you're not going to have the same expenses that you have here. But that's not going to, in our perception, it's our opinion, utility rates are going to rise. They're not going to go lower. And I think you guys can see that from the position that you're in from a coal standpoint.
Yeah, I agree with your opinion.
Thank you. Well, it's one thing I'm right on at least probably.
What I'll do is put a motion on the floor, the 16 years, and the fact that we got to have the county attorney's office involved in the negotiations or the preparation of a contract. And certainly we want the treasurer involved in it in regard to the financing.
Hillman, I sort of didn't answer your question. Do I think we can do this when we have to take on the burden of that building? I don't know.
We don't.
Because we still got $239,000 that'll be a payment, plus we're going to be losing the $235 that they pay us. So in essence, you're going to have a $480-some thousand that's going to be first thing into the budget next year that we're not going to have money from AOC for. And if we do any sort of renovations, there's not, probably any money at that point. We just have to wait and see.
Judge, the reason I'm asking them questions is I know we'll be coming up into a tight budget, and I don't want to see this court have to go through what we did last year about occupational tax and layoffs and cutbacks on our employees. And, these things are things we need to just think about in the next year budget. And
This year would not have any direct impact on that, what situation happens at the jail in the future. But we would certainly want to make sure we're protected.
Well, one of the slides I put up last time was there's a cost of waiting. And if you don't do anything, you're going to spend an additional $85,000 to $100,000 as things go up every year in energy and operational costs if you don't do anything. And Terry's time is Terry's time. It's going to get worse because your systems, if you don't improve your systems, those operational costs are going to get inflated and go higher. His time's going to be sucked worse into fixing and repairing and chasing his tail instead of being proactive. And that's what this program is trying to do for you from an energy standpoint and an operational standpoint. So there is a cost of not doing anything as well.
He saved us about $35,000 last month on that, fixing that boiler over there, a heating pump, whatever he done to get hot water.
My motion is to authorize the county attorney to go in negotiations with you all in regard to these 16 years and to enter negotiations with you immediately.
I'll second that
Report
motion.
back to court. Have a second, Magistrate Anderson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes, the only thing that, if we vote on this, it's not to get it, it's just for Roland to do the things. Is that right, Judge?
That's correct.
Okay, I'll vote for it till we get to see about the negotiations and stuff, see how it comes out.
Okay.
I
Magistrate,
understand it more.
Thank you. Good.
excuse me. Magistrate Murphy? Yes. Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
I abstain due to my position with the Kentucky Association of Counties.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. We have two other things. The county attorney had something he wanted to take up in closed session. We can come back after we eat.
Thank you, Court. I appreciate it. Have a great holiday, too.
And so you all can get started and bring your counsel and get with the county attorney and do your thing. We're going to take a break. We're going to recess. Have a motion to recess.
Motion.
Motion to Magistrate Dotson. Have a second, Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, Flo. We'll go back in session. We don't have two more. What we have to take up?
Executive session, treasurer's business.
And the treasurer's business will come next, and then we will go into session on one issue. County Fiscal Court will come to session. Have a motion to put us back in session. Have a motion from Magistrate Robinson. Have a second, Magistrate Anderson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Here.
Here.
Here. Yep.
Here.
Madam Treasurer.
Authorize any necessary transfers and interfund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health, and life insurance.
Motion.
Have a motion. Have a second. Have a second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson, still not back. Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of previously approved transfers and interfund transfers for October 16th, 2012. There were none for October 8th, 2012.
Do I have a motion? Have a motion. Have a second. Have a second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson? Is not still not here. Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of the Treasurer's October 2012 financial statement.
Motion.
Have a motion. Have a second, Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Assistant County Attorney Case, would you have the second reading and adoption of the Budget Amendment Number 3 for the fiscal year 2012-2013?
This is a second reading of Budget Amendment Number 3 in summary form. It's an ordinance relating to fiscal year 2012-2013 annual budget and amendment thereof. Section 1A, total amended revenues of $1,161,244.62. Subsection B, appropriation, total amended appropriations of $1,161,244.62. It has been duly advertised and approved by the state local finance officer. Need a motion, second, majority vote.
Motion.
Have a motion, Magistrate Harris. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Authorize payment of the expenditure approval list dated November 19th, 2012, and any other utility and telephone bills that are received before the checks are run. And I have one correction. The search and rescue grant for Kemper needs to be $5,945.55 instead of $5,384.96.
Note the correction and have a motion. Motion, Magistrate Robinson. Have a second. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Dotson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
Authorize a standing order to pass the coal severance tax funds that we received to Belfry Volunteer Fire Department as documentation is submitted to be paid, that instead of taking a lump sum, they would rather just give us drawdowns and us pay as needed.
Motion.
Have a motion, Manager Harris. Have a second, Manager Dotson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Dotson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
I have no further business, Judge.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. We have one issue to take up, Judge Hayes in court. Then we have one issue to take up the county attorney closed session.
Motion, we move into executive session pursuant to KRS 61-810, discuss specific personnel matter and pending or threatened litigation.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Dotson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yeah. Pike County Fiscal Court back in session. And Judge Hayes, what do we have today in regard to personnel?
Personnel, Judge, we have 3 items. First one is a permanent position, light equipment operator, boom truck operator, solid waste cleanup, a 4H pay rate. A number of people bid for that job, Judge, but only one has kept his name in contention. That is Charles Morley. Charles Morley was testified by was tested by the Solid Waste Commissioner, and he is, it's reported that he is qualified to operate the boom truck. The next one is a temporary position, approval to hire Elijah Rogers, a temporary loader for Solid Waste Area Number 5 at a 2H pay raise. Elijah will be replacing Darren Akers, who we just recently transferred to the litter abatement crew. Then that job will be posted here shortly. Next one is approval to hire Andrew Bowling as a temporary mechanic for Ford Maintenance Garage at a 5H rate effective November 19th. He is replacing Randall Hill, who is off and has been off for a year or so on workers' comp. Andrew Bowling was recommended by Jeff Justice, the maintenance garage foreman, and so he'll be working temporarily in that place. That's our recommendation, Judge.
My recommendation and my motion to have a second. Have a second from Mr. Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Dotson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris, Judge Rutherford.
Yes. The last court meeting, we asked the county attorney to get some guidance on what we do with the check that we had that the court did not approve to be given out from coal severance tax. And we got an email in regard to that. Mr. Case did. The fiscal court discussed it, and I think what needs to happen is we need a motion authorizing me to direct the treasurer and that office to return the check.
Judge, I'll make the motion that we return the $25,000 Kentucky Hope coal severance check to Amy Barnes at the Department of Local Government, with a check made payable to the Kentucky State Treasurer, and that money to be deposited back into the Pike County Single County Coal Severance account.
The email was from Amy Barnes, but the consultation from our county attorney's office to that office was also with their counsel. Am I correct, Mr. County Attorney?
Yes, and I would like to clarify Magistrate Harris's motion. It needs to specify it's House Bill 1, project number A386, and the money would go into that specific account until the project runs out on June the 30th, 2013, at which time it would go back into the single county or coal account.
Okay, that'll be my motion.
Have a motion to have a second. Master Robinson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
Roland, can I get a copy of the court's?
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Got a motion and a second? Roll call vote, please.